Mrs. Rao, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I consider it a great privilege to present to you a prologue of what you're going to witness this evening. A prologue that looks at the philosophy of Indus, a prologue that looks at the future of the world, the future of education and the future of learning. And I think that's the central theme of what I wish to put across to you before we get busy this evening. For the past millennium, ladies and gentlemen, our education has been focusing on controlling the outer world, the world of nature, the world of money, the world of materialism, the world of resources, of power, of position, of pleasure. But this is all changing now. With the advent of artificial intelligence and machine thinking, there is a cataclysmic change that is happening, a change which many of us are unable to feel, unable to see, despite the writing on the wall. And I think we are waiting for Greek gods, like the god of Janus, to suddenly appear and tell us that the future has already arrived. The advent of the fourth industrial age, an age we are just about a few years into, possibly a decade or two into, is an age which our children are going to live through. And it's an age where many of us as parents and grandparents are going to be witness of possibly the greatest transformation in the history of man. And this change is this shift that is happening from controlling the outer world to understanding the inner world. This is what education is going to be. This is what education has to be. The inner world of happiness, of purpose, of meaning, of emotions, of qualities of the heart and the mind is all about the inner world. And therefore, when we look at this evening's performance, when we look at leadership, leadership at the end of the day is about how you manage your inner world. And ladies and gentlemen, this brings me to the purpose of education at Indus. I think it's very important for me to elucidate this, because this is our capstone philosophy. Most of the schools of the world today are working towards scoring high marks in examination, getting admission in the top colleges and universities, looking at good jobs, looking at good careers over there. But let me tell you, this is all a story of the past. And the sad part is that the biggest lesson history teaches us is that we never learn from history. I say this because, keeping in mind the fourth industrial age and this new world that we have entered, the purpose of education which we believe in at Indus is to prepare a child, to enable a child to succeed in a world that is extremely volatile and extremely turbulent. By educating not only the head, but the heart and the mind, which for so many years has been left out in the cold in the educational systems of the world. And this means that we are going to take account of the parameters of this new world that we are living in. This new world where acceleration is hurtling us into a future we do not know. This new world where empathy is not only declining, it is going downhill. Empathy is now moving into 20, 30 sort of digits that we are talking about today. And this world where the speed of change is so high that very few of us have time to pause and reconnect with ourselves, the people we are responsible for, and people who are dear to us. We therefore need a new operative environment. We need a new operative environment for the inner world. We need a new operative environment for education of the heart, the mind, and the head. And we now believe that folk art, folk traditions, our aesthetic culture, rich culture of our country, will form the nucleus of this new operating environment. And this operating environment, the trinity of this operating environment lies in localism. We all say we must think global and act local. But I wish to submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, we must first act local and then start thinking global. This is not only the message of all the millennials of the world, this is the message and theme of our times. And the second is that we can only love something which we respect. And this is why it's very important for us to find our identity, our cultural identity of who I am, why am I here, and what we are doing. And lastly, of course, as Mrs. Rao mentioned to us, is that the third prong of this trinity is innovation. Innovation is the number one leadership and spiritual competency. It is this competency, as she mentioned to you, that nobody is born talent. Man is born potential. And with the right training, with the right environment, with a positive image about yourself, that I'm the most important person on this planet, and deliberate practice, talent happens. And that is what we're going to see. And lastly, I would like to leave you with a thought that in this new operative environment, an environment which is quite different to the digital environment we are accustomed to, the key aspect of folk traditions and aesthetics is the hand. The power of the hand. I don't know how many of you are aware of the fact that the greatest connections a human body has than any other body part is the hand and the brain. And this is why Mahatma Gandhi, who role modeled spinning and weaving, was not actually for employment. It was not for earning wages. But he wanted to emphasize the point that craft-centric learning is a sustainable and endurable form of education and learning. Because this form of learning is creatively stimulating. It gives dignity to labor. And above all, it creates an individualistic outlook towards life. And with this backdrop, I request you to look at this whole evening, not through the eyes of entertainment, but through the heart and mind of what this new world is all about, what our children are all about, and what our responsibilities are all about. Thank you very much.